Andrew Carnegie was a huge leader during the expansion of the steel industry in America. He used the tactic of vertical integration, which is where an individual or company would buy up all parts in a process. So, for the Carnegie Steel Company, this meant buying everything that has to do with steel production. By 1900, J.P. Morgan purchased the Carnegie Steel Corporation for $480 million. That's a lot of money, right? Born in Scotland, Carnegie and his family immigrated to America because of their poor financial state. He came from the bottom and ended up a part of America's elite. Sounds like the American dream. But is the American dream just an illusion? Is it really possible for anyone to simply work hard and then slowly make their way up the ladder of success in America? Although Andrew Carnegie is commonly remembered as a captain of industry because of the philanthropic projects he participated in, he had to use unfair business practices while running his company in order to succeed at such a level. The American dream is contradictory, just like Carnegie at times. He supported the rights of workers, but when unions formed in his corporation, he destroyed them. Take the Homestead strike, for example. Following the common pattern in the Gilded Age, the Carnegie Steel Company announced wage cuts, and the workers went on strike to keep the old wages. The company then hired Pinkerton officers to break the strike, and the workers were eventually forced to return to work with the lowered wages. When I heard this story in class, it seemed so obvious to me that Carnegie must have been a robber baron. But after doing more research and seeing the causes that he put his great wealth towards, Carnegie seemed more like a captain of industry. As I said before, he had to use unfair business practices along the way, but unfortunately, it seems that may be necessary in America. You cannot treat everyone completely fairly if you want to make money in this society. As the wealthiest man in the world during his time, Carnegie and his family were able to live in pure luxury, higher luxury than that of the royals in Europe. Thomas Carnegie, Andrew's brother, bought land on Cumberland Island in order to have a winter retreat. The Carnegie family spent many years on and off the island, and in the 1960s, the descendants of these men worked with other landowners and the government to convert the private island into public land. And this is what made it possible for me to visit the incredible place. Now, this is my Cumberland Island story. Picture me breathing a sigh of relief as we finally arrive at our destination. After a 45-minute ferry ride, my grandparents, sisters, parents, and I arrive at Cumberland Island and ride a truck directly to the wide staircase of the Grayfield Inn. The 15,000-square-foot white wooden house, still run by members of the Carnegie family, stood tall in front of me, and the only thing I could think to do was stare in awe. This used to be someone's house? I had seen large homes before, but this was absolutely beautiful, and I hadn't even been inside yet. After crossing the front porch, I was told that I would be staying in a room called Little Cottage South with my sisters. My family made our way up the stairs and went to our respective rooms, enjoying viewing this incredible home for the first time. Grayfield was built by Thomas and Lucy Carnegie in 1900 for their daughter Margaret and her husband. The library, community dining room, huge fireplaces, porch swing, bedrooms, and furnishings were made to be just like the house when Margaret and her daughter Lucy lived there. Picture me, 10 years old, living, although only for a couple days, in a part of the former Carnegie family estate. Here are a couple more pictures from my trip. Burned homes and buildings have always given me the creeps, so seeing the ruins of 59-room mansion definitely freaked me out. But the history behind this building, or rather this building's name, is long and diverse. The first Dungeness was a hunting lodge and was built by James Oglethorpe, named after Dungeness in England. Then Nathaniel Greene, the Revolutionary War hero, built a home which was later used by the British when they occupied the island during the War of 1812. Dungeness was left vacant during the Civil War and destroyed by a fire in 1866. Only 20 years later is when the Carnegie's version of Dungeness appears. Thomas Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie's brother, and his wife built the mansion. Thomas did not live to see it, but Lucy and his children resided in the home until 1925. After all of the other homes built for the children, like Plum Orchard, Lucy Carnegie owned 90% of Cumberland Island. Dungeness was burned to the ground, supposedly by poachers, in 1959. As you can see, I don't have many pictures from visiting Dungeness, but I remember it very well. All the supporting homes and buildings to the main house, as it required a staff of over 200, the wildlife surrounding, like armadillos and wild horses, and the stories told. Guys, only 1 more mile. My friends and I smile as we hear Miss Hankinson tell us that we're getting close to Plum Orchard. The hike to and from the palatial house from our campsite was over 10 miles, but we walked along the beach for miles of it. When we finally arrived at Plum Orchard, the home that Lucy Carnegie gave her son George and his wife Margaret as a wedding gift in 1898, I stare in awe, just as I did 4 years earlier at Grayfield. We used the commercialized restrooms near the side of the mansion for visitors and then begin our tour. As we pass the Tiffany fixtures, luxurious rooms, and incredible art, I cannot help but picture my squash partner standing next to me, as this house had the unusual indoor squash court and swimming pool, and the sound of skilled piano playing flowing throughout the home. We go through the house, learning about the history of each room, getting to know the people that lived there so long ago. When we make it back downstairs in the main living area, my friends urge me to play the wooden grand piano that sits in the corner, Tiffany fixture hanging directly above. I am very reluctant because I normally do not play music in front of people, but I know this is a special opportunity. So I sit on the unsteady bench and rest my fingers on the keys. I am off. I am nervous the whole time, but I'm playing the same piano that Margaret Thaw, George's wife, played over a century ago. I get to be part of the history of this building, this home.